Today, it's about time to talk about time. There's always things that are coming after the time, and you only got so much of it. You can't get more of it. You can't trade it in for somebody else's. When someone's coming for your attention, when this project demands your effort, all of that is vying for your time.
What you sound like you're talking to me, I just think about things and people that steal your time.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Today for Tomorrow podcast. So glad that you're here. If you have not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, we definitely appreciate it if you would go ahead and do that. Today, it's about time to talk about time.
Yeah, I totally agree. You want to tell people what we mean by that, or you want somebody else to jump in?
Well, we were talking about a few things before we started recording. There was a lot of family stuff, but this particular subject, I think, it ventures into every other area of your life because honestly, there's always things that are coming after the time, and you only got so much of it. You can't get more of it. You can't, trade it in for somebody else's. And so when someone's coming for your attention, when someone wants to ask you a question, when someone needs something, or when this project demands your effort, all of that is vying for your time. And so then we have to always use it almost like a bank account. Mm-hmm. It's like you can only put it in so many places, and then when you spread too thin, now you don't know what's actually returning anything. So,
well, what you sound like you're talking to me, I just think about things and people that steal your time. And this is different from time management, because time management is you kind of, and maybe we should distinguish too. Time management, when you lay your day out, you know you're going to do A, B, C, and D, you're trying to plan things out. But those time stealers are, whether it be, like you said, a project or individual social media that comes in, and before you know it, you done been tied up for an hour doing something you hadn't planned to do. Now you're behind the eight ball.
Yeah. No, it's funny and interesting that when you were talking about making deposits in the bank, because I always say, time truly is the highest form of currency. And it's the ultimate bank, because once you make that deposit, you can't withdraw that same amount of time back. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's so critical. And once you really think about the importance of time, you do become a little bit more guarded in how your time is being spent, because you want to make sure that it's being spent in fruitful ways.
Yeah.
I think it's so interesting because, I've heard before people say, "Oh, time is money. Time is money." It's it's, and we can speak of it in this way to help explain the use of it, but time is so much more valuable than money. Oh my.
Way, yeah.
You could have all the money in the world, but if you hate your life, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right?
There you go.
And so it's to your point, it's there's you have to know what's happening with it. You have to.
Yeah, because you have, money comes and goes. Mm-hmm. I mean, money really doesn't have any owners. This is always the funny thing when people that's my money.
It's a note.
It's a note, and people, that's my money. Your money? Well, what you mean? You printed the money, you made them. Money comes and it goes. It has no owners. Time, on the other hand,
it only goes.
It only goes. Yes. We don't know how much of it we have left. Yeah. We all are on time to our death date in this world form. Mm-hmm. And every day that we spend is a one less day that we're going to have time to spend a day. So, it just kind of ties into the overall theme of the importance of the time and how, every now and again we have to take inventory and just do an analysis on how are we truly using our time.
Yeah. And we can start there too. The other part, what's taking our time? Because let's be honest, you can have a friend who, for whatever reason, they're not there to help you complete a task, but they always seems to help you kind of delay a task. I don't know about you, but I know I had this one friend. Well, sometimes I really hated to see him come. Growing up, I had stuff I had to do. I laid out, I have to get ABC done. He come through. It's one thing if he gonna come through and help me do the job.
Yeah.
No, he ain't.
He not. No, he want to talk, do whatever, pull me away. Now I still got the job to do. Now I got more stress on me. And I would tell him like, hey, look, bro, I got to get this done, And I'm like, he just was about whatever he had going on at the time.
Yeah, but so I wanted to come and talk to you about.
Yeah, that guy.
No.
That guy. And then you got to be like, look, dog, I ain't got no, you have to be, sometimes strong, which now you come off looking a certain way, but it's like they disrespecting your time.
Yeah. And then, so we want to go a little deeper on this. It's legitimate reasons why we can allow these time stealers to come and just intrude, because this is one of the main reasons.
Yeah.
Now it's complete access to where people feel like they have your number, your cell number. Oh, I know they got their cell phone on them. I'm gonna just keep calling them. It's like before, you had a house phone.
Yeah.
Listen, when I leave and go to work, whatever happened in the day, I'll find out when I return 8 hours later from work.
Yes. Yeah. And if you got a call at work, it was a big
emergency.
deal.
It was an emergency.
You got to come home right away. But you're absolutely right. And you think about, let's go backwards for a minute. I think I'm telling my age, you're telling yours a little bit. Martell might not have had experience as much as we did. But when you're out the state, nobody can get in touch with you.
Nobody.
When you went out, to your point, you were out.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you might have called back and say, hey, look, I'm at this party, I'm going ABC. But you know what? Nobody heard from you until you came back, and nobody could get in touch with you. And so you were dedicated to whatever you were doing at that time.
You know what? It's so deep because, the phones with the notifications, the text messages, the work emails, it actually creates a layer of anxiety. Because you're so programmed to hear these constant dings, let me check who just emailed me, who just texted me. It's like, really, is it that important? Most of the time it's not, but because we're so programmed to constantly be interrupted, we don't fully submerge ourselves in what we're actually doing.
No.
We're always trying to multitask, and we're always diverting attention.
Fact.
I think it's so interesting, and I don't want to diverge off of the subject, but on that point right there, I think it's so easy for people to feel like they're productive just because they're responding to a bunch of people, going through emails, reading text messages, sitting on the phone with somebody. But it's like, is the needle moving?
Yeah.
But after you went through all 50 of those text messages, said yes, no, I think about this. I had lunch yesterday and it was a sandwich. I went to Starbucks the other day. And you talk to all these different people at the end of this 3 hours that you just spent. What actually got done?
Yeah.
I think that's a great point. And I think, let me add, we all got to answer this question, but when you go through a day like that and you answering calls and all that, you really have nothing to show for it, but you feel tired.
You feel drained. You feel drained. Because it's an energy transfer.
Yeah.
Like we talked about a little bit with the boys mentoring. Energy is never created nor destroyed. It's simply transferred. And that's a real thing, especially for like someone like myself. I'm huge on energy. I feel people's energy a lot. And it's a part of one of my superpowers, but it can also be a double-edged sword because, like you said, you're interacting with all these people and it's pulling away from the main thing sometimes, and it drains you, but you didn't really eat. It wasn't what your agenda was.
Exactly.
So I think going back into our original subject, we got to start, now that we know what's happening, how do we get proactive and kind of set the stage to put that invisible fence boundary up?
Yeah, those guardrails.
For me, I think, I don't really have, it's interesting because like when I'm out, I've got my phone with me, but when I'm at my home and when I'm working, I really don't keep my phone with me. So like, it's almost like what you guys were just talking about. Like when you go out, they have to wait till you get back. When I'm actually at home, it's harder to get in contact with me than when I'm out. Because when I'm out, it's right here. When I'm in, it could be in the room. It could be somewhere that I don't even know yet. I'm going to go find it when I hear it or something. But I'm locked in. And so it's like, with that, I think I know people teenagers specifically. I know young 20s. I know mid 20s. I know older 20s. I know 30s. I'm probably every other age. That's like, as soon as they see something or get that notification, they feel obligated to respond to somebody. Like, it's like automatic phone call. Well, I gotta answer it. Or you can finish what you're doing and just call back.
Yeah, but that's you right on, and I think it's a conditioning deal, right? I applaud you for your discipline. I'm not as disciplined as that, right? And a lot of times I'm listening to music on my phone, so I'm at home. So if something pop up, it's like I see it, and to your point, it's like, okay, do I answer that or not answer that? And it does. It's a discipline deal because it does that. I'm glad Mike brought this phone thing up because it really do make you accessible all the time.
Yeah.
And it is addictive.
It is, and sometimes it's just the season that you're in. You know, like for me, example, when I have my kids, my wife, like I have to have my phone because the wife could call me at any point and say, hey, it's an emergency with one of the kids, or my contractors are calling me all day. Hey, something came up. Or, you know, we at Home Depot, we got to do a phone sale. And so by the nature of how my life is currently set up, the season I'm currently in, I have to be more tied to this phone than I actually would like to be a lot of times because I'm kind of like you where in a perfect state, I want just time to just focus. So what happens is with me going into, you know, how to be proactive, I have to get up earlier than everybody. I have to prioritize my most important things that I want to get through on my agenda. I have to do it at the very crack of dawn because I know soon as 9 a.m. hits, or even before that, once the kids get up, everything else is a bunch of unknowns popping up all throughout the day. And it's funny because my little sister was just here for 3 weeks, and she had to. I told her the first week, you know, we on tourist time. I'm gonna show you this. After that, you got to kind of jump in the flow of the household, you know, and it was just like, she's, you know, single. Well, I think she has a boyfriend, but she doesn't have the kids. She's used to owning her time. And then she had to flip to our schedule, which our time is like not. She was just like, man, how do y'all keep this pace every day? And I'm like, it is what it is. You know, you put one foot in front of the other, you just do what you got to do.
Man, but it's a growing deal too. Like, you know, as we sit there and talk, it's funny how you talk about when you're single, and you know, let's say you're away. Like when I moved here, family in Chicago, I'm here, didn't know nobody. I had all the time in the world. I had to make up stuff to do to stay busy. You know what I mean? And then as time goes on, you start to get married, you get a house, get all these different responsibilities. Things start to change, job, all that. Everything becomes a little heavy. So stuff keep building. You learn how to manage it, but it seems like there's always more. If you try to do something, and that's key. If you're trying to do something, some people are staying in the same place. They manage their time the same way they always have because they're not growing or they're not doing nothing else.
Yeah, that. What made me think of is like that ignorance is bliss creed, where the people that aren't really trying to strive for certain goals, or they got all the time in the world.
Yeah.
They sit around, they playing video games for hours or on the corner just shooting the breeze. They know all the stats for all the football games and the best. And I be like, man, sometimes I'm like, dang, are they really winning or am I winning? You know, it's kind of, it's a weird equation sometimes, but I think it all goes back to, you know, what your end goal is. And for us, like, you know, we follow the blueprint, you know, so it kind of ties into, you know, being fruitful and multiplying. Like, what do we really put here to do?
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's where I wanted to go. And I'm glad that you went there already. Because it's like, when you put it in the context of the kingdom here, it's like, you can't just let everything take your time. You can't, because to the point, if you're on a mission, right, there are things that you have to do. There's now a priority list, right? And so because there is a list of things that need to get done, and like we talked about in the beginning, you only got so much time to do it, and you're not getting more of it.
No.
You have to get moving on the things that are the most important. And so it's like when, you know, the game might be on, but did that thing get done? that you're supposed to do. Like, and all those things, it's like, okay, are we moving forward or are we not moving forward? And are we letting these other stuff come in? Now, I'm so glad that y'all mentioned, like, there is a different context. Like, okay, there's a wife, there are kids, there's a home, there's a management position where everybody needs you and your opinion on everything. So there's a different situation right there, but y'all done mastered how to figure it out, and I think it's in this episode.
Yeah, you said the word master, but I haven't mastered it. I mean, I think you have to constantly adjust to it.
Yeah.
And kind of going, we were talking about I'm using the term time stealers, how to manage the time stealers. Mike talked about it, the boundaries. You got to start, how do you set your boundary up? Because there's some things I do at work to try to manage my time. Because if I don't put blocks on my schedule for what I call admin-related items, and admin for me is going through my emails and stuff, it'll get blocked from beginning to end. And then I'm not able to find no time to do my emails. So it's like I have to consciously put those blocks in my day just to read up on what's going on, just to get caught up on something. And the same thing is true when you're off work. I mean, whatever, businesses, whatever you're doing, you gotta have time to, okay, I need to block time, dedicate towards the business. Me and Mike was talking the other day, he's like, hey, I'm looking for another opportunity, right? He said, well, hey, just chew it a little bit at a time. Take an hour a day or whatever, 15, 20 minutes. Okay, well, that is a way to do it. You got to manage your time and put up blocks.
Yeah.
I want to mention that you just reminded me of that verse, Ephesians 5, I believe 14 and 15. It is, see that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. Circumspectly, if you break that down, it essentially is making sure that you are aware of the consequences. We talked about this a little bit before. This is making sure that you're aware of the consequences. What's the actual consequences of not responding to that text message right now? What's the consequences of not answering that phone call? What's the consequences of you not doing the most important thing and instead playing the game or watching the game? And so it's like, first off, there's a difference, and it's written right there. There's a fool and then there's wise. One of them you don't want to be, okay? And then redeeming the time, that's buying it up. That's buying it back. I found ways to kind of get back my time by, one, delegating, figuring out, okay, how can this kind of communication not have to come to me anymore?
Yeah, and see, that's what I was about to touch on too. That you have to train the people around you how to deal with you. Like certain guys, I have a new contracting crew, so I'm trying to get them trained up. But my guys that have been with me for years, they know I'm not gonna answer every call. You can shoot me a text and keep me abreast of the situation, but I've empowered them to make certain calls. Now, when it goes beyond a certain threshold, then no, I need to know about that before we make a call, yes or no. But you really have to train the people around you, and like we were kind of touching on earlier, it becomes a little challenging, like when it comes to those close relationships, like family and stuff. Yeah. Because if you have a dynamic with, a brother, a sister, a father, a mother, it's like then the relationship actually comes in versus the print, and that's when it can become challenging for you because you're like, well, I respect the chain of command, but at the same time, I respect my time. It's like, what do I do? You start.
I'm gonna use last night as an example for me. My wife, we're talking about Sherry. Look, I ain't saying nothing bad, y'all. So anyway, so I had schedule in my mind laid out. And I even heard, I talked, I said, hey, what you got? What we got up for the night? What we doing? Because I want to make sure I plan out the rest of my day. Because I needed to get to the gym. The errands, yeah. I needed to get to the gym, right?
You called me. I was kind of calling that night. Yeah. I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. So I need to get to the gym. So got that squared away. But she wanted to do something, right? So I had to change the schedule. Now, you know what I'm saying? So not that she stole time. The thing is, something came up. That's somebody in my life that can always walk into my life. You know what I mean? And not on purpose, nothing like that. But the point though is I had to alter what I had going on. But at the same time, I had to communicate to her up front why I was doing it, because I wanted to make sure I could do what I had planned to do. And she respected that. So sometimes people won't respect it though. That's the whole problem. Now, there's other situations where, I got a family member that call, and it's like, they want you to show up right then. I gotta be like, I can't do it. Then they get attitude.
That's so important. You got to keep that list short.
Yeah.
The people who get the allowances, that's a short list. Like, it's like there's everybody does not have the same access.
No.
Like, there are boundaries, man. And it's like, I feel like I have seen people not understand how to set these boundaries. And so every phone call, every person has the same access. And it's like, you have no time of your own because you've given it away to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real. And I think, and that's, well, here's I say it like this. Those can be awkward conversations. We all probably had them here and there. Some of them are easy, but some are awkward. Like, I use my mom as an example, and I'm having flashbacks, y'all, so forgive me. So I remember when I got my license, drive, whatnot, my mother would know that I'm going to a party, I'm leaving at 6:30. Why at 6:15 she asked me to go to the grocery store to pick up? Been there all day.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I had, I'm sitting at the table watching TV, before I get ready to go. But at 6:15, and it wasn't like one time. It was all the time. And I remember it's like, I was like, Mom, why didn't you ask me this earlier? I gotta go somewhere. I need you to get it, And it's like, I had no option. And my mom, she would take my time every time. And I'm like, is this on purpose? It did. And it got to the point where I had to, this is the game I had to play. I had to leave like an hour and a half earlier just to bank it in.
Out.
Yeah. So she would never respect it. She just did.
Once again, see, that was pre-cell phones.
It was.
So imagine if you had a cell phone and she could call you and say, another thing.
I was here. But trust me, my brother and my sister them got it. As soon as she got a cell phone, it was on. So
I had a brother. It was a brother from one of when we was going to our Men 2.0. We was talking about this same exact thing. And I said, first time I saw him, I said, listen, bro, I don't got the answer. Like, it's no silver bullet for this.
No.
But I can, give you an ear for you to vent, and I can, kind of share some tactics that I use. But the reality is, it's a give and a take, a push and a pull. Like, you got to just use your discernment, because sometimes, that's one thing I often say. It's hard for me to keep a schedule because when I'm talking to people, I'm in the moment, I'm fully submerged.
Yeah.
And I always find myself in these conversations where people we having real conversations. And if they're venting about something real that's going on in their life, it's very challenging for me to just have the hard stop.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And that's where it's always the dynamic where I have to use my discernment, because sometimes people genuinely do need a little bit more time. Because and I kind of try to get a feel for it, like, man, this person, like, they need this. I'm going to you know what? I'm going to text the other person and say, hey, running a little bit late, but I got to be in this moment, and that's the part where, going back to the energy thing, sometimes, man, it's many days where it's like I feel drained because I've been depositing my energy, here a little bit, here a little bit, here. But I think it goes back to just your calling in life. Like when you they say you have two birthdays, like the day you were actually born and then the day that you figure out why you were born. And when when that's a part of your calling in life, it's hard not to answer that call or, give that person that space, because that's a part of what makes you you.
No, that's real. That's real. Man, I guess because we get to that point, and trying to put a wrap around some of this, because I know, as we sit here and talk, and everybody listen, they could probably say, hey, I need to do more or better with my time. And we kind of laid out a couple of things, those close to us, how they impact our time, guarding your time, manage your time. But I think that the point too is that not allowing certain things to steal or take our time. And if they do, they need to be worth it.
Yeah.
Okay. And how to manage all that. So how do we kind of close this loop a little bit as it comes to that? Because like you said, time is something we never get back. I mean, I don't know who used the bank deposit piece or whatever thing you might have, but it's like we don't never get time back.
Mm-hmm. And we don't know how much we're going to have left.
We don't. And we don't. No. We don't. You're right. Because and that's the other thing too. You said, use the word redeem. And, think about when you redeem something. If you got a reward coming to you, let's say they give you a $200 gift certificate or whatever, you have to redeem it. It's nothing until you redeem it. Mm-hmm. It's wasted until you redeem it. So if we don't redeem our time, we waste our time. And redeeming means you are taking it and cashing it in and doing something worthwhile with it.
Redeeming the time, that time word in there isn't the same use as like in other places, where sun up, sun down. Mm-hmm. It's actually opportunity. Mm-hmm. So to your exact point, no, that's 100%. Speaking of time, what are we at right now?
25.
Okay. So what I would say to answer that, just wanted to make sure we were good. But no, like in terms of figuring out like the practical steps or the things to consider here in terms of making sure that the time is not stolen. When we talk about how there's that small list of people who, okay, you make these allowances for in your schedule, mm-hmm. that's still a part of the bigger vision that might be for your life. Mm-hmm. Because, if you decided, okay, I'm not going to answer my wife's phone calls, then that doesn't really factor into
Don't recommend that. Don't recommend that.
I don't recommend that.
Yeah.
It's like that doesn't help you, right? To not answer that phone call. So it makes sense to have an allowance there.
Yeah.
And so it's like, to go into your son's game, it makes sense. So for me, it's like making sure that I understand what my priorities are and what my vision is. Mm-hmm. So it's like, now I know what I need to do in terms of career, in terms of business, in terms of, bullet point tasks to check off the list. But these are the things that are most important to me. Uh-huh. Family. Is it, objective, is purpose? What is the objective, the thing that the outcome, I need to do these things for that outcome. Uh-huh. Then you kind of you mix and match it to make sure that everything kind of fits into it. But I also don't try to put everything in the same day.
No. And I think that's not doing everything in one day. That's the other thing too, is we can mismanage our time when we try to cram too much into.
It's tiring.
Yeah. So there's a balance. So how do we go about balancing that?
You know what? As we were talking about wrapping up, I was thinking like, man, what do I really want to just have my end statement? And when we were talking about certain people, that we're going to make those allowances for, and all of that still being in our life calling, mm-hmm. I went back to the Proverbs 22:1. A good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, loving favor rather than silver and gold. And the reason, going back to my previous statement about, when I'm with people, it means so much to me, because after I'm dead and gone, my houses, my bank account, that's not what's going to keep my name. Mm-hmm. It's going to be the actual people that you impact and actually, give moments, because it's people that I've spoke to. I'm like, man, I don't think about, their bank account or how much that was worth. I think about, man, in that moment, they gave me an ear, or mm-hmm. they gave me some advice, or they told me something that stuck with me. Yeah. And to me, it's like, that's the most important thing, just going back to your true life calling and understanding that it's going to be a life of being a servant sometimes. You're a servant to other people, mm-hmm. So I'm serving people by giving my time willingly versus just, it's not always them taking time. Sometimes it's me giving it to them because I want to sacrifice my will for the greater will.
Gotcha. No, that's going, you said the key word, you said it earlier too. knowing your purpose. Knowing your purpose, whether it be in business, whether it be in a relationship, whether it be in that moment. Because what you share is like in that moment, you're like, hey, this is what I need to be here for. I need to listen and be here. This is what I need to do right now. This is my purpose. Having that vision, that purpose, and then using your time to make it happen. And when those situations pop up that take you away from it, you got to evaluate them.
That's so. We probably should have said that in the beginning. But there is a big difference between someone taking the time, you giving the time, and the time being wasted. Yeah. Those are three completely different things.
Facts.
Like, you give time to your wife. If something happens out of nowhere that doesn't add to the bigger picture, that's taking it. Yeah. And then wasting time is just doing nothing.
Yep.
But anywho, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Today for Tomorrow podcast. Guys, we have some stuff to mention. I know you guys are twinning it up over here.
Man, you know what's crazy? This is completely unarranged. We did not choose. That's the funny thing about it. Random, the nature of it.
They call each other, they ain't say nothing to me. Don't lie.
But no, man, yeah, we just repping some of the gear and as we talked about like mission and purpose, all of this ties back into the overall mission of, rebuilding Detroit one house at a time. It's not just the brick and mortar, this is the people that are living in the houses and just really just building it up. So, come check us out at Detroit Investor _WCI on Instagram.
Yeah, and my voice is choked up right now. Somebody asked Martell to take it out for me.
Freedom in Christ Ministry. They are, it's a ministry here in Southfield. If you are in the Michigan area, you definitely need to come check it out. There is connect groups for men, women, young adults that are every single weekend throughout this month. There is something for you to actually gain from. And now this isn't a church that is just going to make you feel entertained on Sunday, but they actually teach the word of God. It's a place where you can come to, you can be filled up with the Holy Spirit. You can be filled up with the word of God and take the information that they give on Sunday and use it throughout the rest of the week. And so I definitely think if you're looking for a church home, you might want to go ahead and check them out. Information is below. Yeah. Now, also on that same note, we're doing something a little bit different. I don't know if you heard the other episode, we've mentioned it before, but super excited about it. It's the How to Read and Study the Bible Guide. Literally walks you through exactly like step by step, how to go into the Bible with a purpose and then gain practical information from it so that you can use it in your daily life. That's one of the biggest issues that I see is you open up the Bible, you read a verse or you read a chapter because you're just trying to get through it. And then you don't have anything to actually go apply to your life. You don't know how to use it. And so now it just becomes information for you, but it doesn't become wisdom. And so we made a completely new guide for you to check out. It's completely free. It's in the information below. Go ahead, check it out. If you have been having issues understanding the Bible and trying to use it practically, this is for you. With that, thank you for tuning in to another episode. Go ahead and subscribe if you have not. Share it with somebody who you think this could help. And we hope to see you next week.
Peace.